Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Silver Tears Tarot. And of course, welcome to those of you who are joining us for the first time. Today, we're looking at the month of August and we're looking at it from a general perspective. Of course, it'll be a general reading for this collective. So if you find that it resonates with you, you may want to check out some of the other readings because they're all connected. We're looking at the overall month of August, and with the assumption that we'll also come in about halfway through and see kind of how things are shaping up. We usually do a refresh of the energy around the middle of the month, but we're going to start. You know what? I'm going to switch these decks out. I want to use this as my primary, and this will be my clarifying deck. I was thinking it, and then I'm like, nope, you know what? I'm just going to do it before we even get started. So I'm going to get started with the general energy around the month. So usually when I do this, this question, it's that energetic and emotional backdrop for the day. But here we're looking at a whole month. Recently we did the moon reading, and that one we looked at the period of the full moon. We're still feeling a little bit of that one. That's a powerful moon, though. It's that second supermoon of the month, so it's a blue supermoon, and it's one about kind of pressing the button, letting it. You've been setting something up for some time here, and now this is about actually putting some of what you've set up into motion. A lot of shuffling. Sometimes they just pop right out. Let's see. So we've got devil energy. Let's see here. We've got devil energy, and that is the one card that wants to come out. All right. So it's time to work through some things in the month of September. You've done some significant work here in the recent past to really clear the way. And so you're going to benefit from that as you move now into the month of September. Remember, in August, you were kind of working through some very kind of visible things. I guess that's what was so different about that. It was things that were somewhat visible, and the thing is, you looked really good while you were doing it. So that was kind of a nice thing that was showing up in the background. I don't get the sense that you necessarily don't look good doing this. I think this is more that it's internal work that you're doing, but you've set yourself up nicely to do that. So this is going to be energy of something that is controlling you, something that you've been trying to shake off, and for whatever reason it just wants to be really sticky, and it's a habit that wants to stick to you, or it's something that that you don't like or you don't condone. Maybe it's overthinking. In some cases, a lot of you are working through a soulmate situation, and for those of you who are, there's that issue around thinking about the person and putting too much energy in there for you to be happy with it more than you'd like. Let's see here. So we have the Three of Cups and the Hierophant in reverse. Both of those cards want to come out. And I think as we start looking at the Three of Cups in particular, that is, this is an opportunity for you. There's an opportunity for you that's coming up in the month of September that looks like a work-related social opportunity. If I just had to say, here's what the energy of it is. It might not be work-related, might not be especially social, but to me, from what it looks like here, I'm getting work-related social activity. But it's going to be something that matters more than it looks like it does. Look for there to be advice there or something along the way that gives you some idea of how to proceed in a difficult matter. However, it's not going to be just the answer. It's going to be a little bit hidden, a little bit veiled. You're going to have to work through just a little bit of kind of interpretation to get there. But I feel like if you're able to utilize your emotions to do this, you're going to be in a good place. So we have the Three of Cups here, and that's referencing the social, or almost social and political and work-oriented situation. Then you've got the Hierophant in the reverse saying, watch out for the opportunity to miss, or the opportunity to get some information that's going to help you out as far as a problem you're trying to work through. Let your emotion guide you. This is the Queen of Cups. And then the Page of Swords is giving you and that's as far as we go this time. The Page of Swords is giving you the go get it, try something new energy. Okay, so the Queen of Cups is kind of more referring to how you are led. So being led by emotion, and this Page of Swords is almost an incredibly logical and decisive way to carry out what you're looking to do emotionally. So there's a little bit of letting go in this energy here in September, but it's letting go in this situation that opens you up. So this is an opportunity that has a social aspect to it, I feel like, and also feels like it's associated with work. It's something you really want to do, though. There's a lot of positivity, and you feel like you're ready to go forward where you might not have felt like you were before. So this Eight of Swords is in the reverse. It's talking about getting out of like a mental prison, which implies that you were in one. And you see, this is a bird. So the bird has the capacity to get out of the essentially overthinking, which is what these swords are representing for me here. The bird has the opportunity to escape from this because it has the potential to fly. And also, the gaps between these swords are pretty considerable. It's not a mental prison that, that you especially have to be in, but it's one that was kind of vexing you nonetheless. Out here we see a possibility for transformation, so there's still the possibility there, and it feels like if you are this definitely has the energy of you being ready to go get something. The King of Wands is ready to go get something, and it's a balanced King of Wands. It looks good, but this Eight of Swords coming in the reverse says to me, now's the time where maybe it wasn't before, but you're also getting a push from the universe to move in this direction. So there's an opportunity here. Look for that something that's like an event that happens there. I would imagine it happens during the month of September, although when you try to work through specific time frames, tarot isn't great for specific time frames, and so sometimes this may start showing up a little bit in August, or it might be really late in September, more toward October. I would say it's approximate, but this is for the vast majority of you. It's something that's going to come to pass during the month of September, and it's more important than it looks. So you've got the Six of Swords. This is like a blessing. This is the ability for you to slow down and take a look at the energy coming in. So when you see this, it's going to make it a little bit easier for you to see that Hierophant energy, which is something that's coming to give you some guidance. You'll be better at picking up on that because of this Six of Swords energy, which is the energy of things slowing down a little bit. So you've got the push from the universe to move to the next step, but you've also got that clarity, that emotional clarity that allows you to see what you need to see. And there's a fair amount of mystery here, but I feel like you're going to be able to make decisions with as much information as you have. So the Moon card is where I'm getting the concept of the mystery, but the Ten of Wands that's the thing that's going to work against you. So this almost creates anxiety for you here. The Ten of Wands is a burden that you would do well to set down, or at least set down parts of, but it can be tricky to figure out what that is, and it takes time to set the burden down and sort things through. You may not feel like you have a lot of that time, but it weighs on you, and it's something that ultimately you benefit from going through if you can find the time to go through it and drop the pieces that you don't control. Now with the Moon card, though, the sense of mystery coming up, this is about how comfortable you are with yourself and with making decisions in a situation where maybe there's not as much already known. There's some unknowns in the situation, but I feel like you're going to do a fine job of getting in and making decisions with less information. We've all gotten much better at that in the last couple years, and you'll be no exception. This is something you'll have the opportunity to do in September. I don't think it stops you. I think the only thing that really impacts you is that anxiety, but you also have the ability to step back and look at that. So the two things that I would especially watch here are this Ten of Wands with the anxiety energy of carrying too much of a burden, and this Hierophant where there's something that you may potentially not recognize as beneficial advice or beneficial knowledge for you to have. But there is, generally speaking, there's just plenty of opportunity. I guess the other issue could potentially be not recognizing that opportunity or not going to the social event. But just go ahead and put yourself out there. There's going to be something incredibly helpful that comes to you as a result of doing so. So that's interesting. We'll have to keep an eye on that. And let's look to see what else you need to know about what's coming for you in the month of September. So what else you need to know about the month of September and the energy around it. We've got energy of opportunity. I like that. That's something that has definitely started showing up in the end of August here. Let's see, we've got the Eight of Wands in reverse, and we've got the Six of Swords in reverse. Okay, so it feels to me like this is a lot of what happens here across this month of September. This is all kind of, with the exception of maybe these cards, all of this happens relatively at the same time, relatively quickly. So not necessarily within minutes, but within, it's all part of the same situation. So there's a social situation that you need to attend in order to get some information that's going to help you with a decision or a difficult thing that you're working on. You know you want to lead with your emotion. This is something that takes place fairly quickly. Unfortunately, the Six of Swords, where the energy slows down, is also part of that fairly brief situation. So the energy kicks back up again. And yet you start to feel like, hold on, I really wanted to slow things down. The good news is you have the opportunity to still slow things down on your own. So I don't feel like you come out of that in a bad place. Just a heads up that it does seem like things rev back up again relatively quickly, and then you're sitting there realizing that you want to be able to slow things down, but you'll be able to. You're going to be able to. That Eight of Wands in the reverse is more under your control. So there are communications that you can choose to hold off on. There are things that you can do to pace the situation. But that Six of Swords in reverse says that it kind of keeps coming at you. I don't think that's necessarily going to be something that you have a hard time dealing with. Okay, so Four of Cups in the reverse. Be careful. Something out there is more interesting than it initially seems. You have something that your first glance, you're pretty good at first impressions. We all know we're not supposed to judge the book by its cover, but you're pretty good at it. And you're good at it at first glance, but I think what you need to recognize is that sometimes things will get past you that look a certain way they turn out to be a little bit more impressive. So don't take anything too, don't just make assumptions, I guess. You have the Ace of Cups here. So we've been seeing this come out in some of the readings. Ace of Cups and Two of Cups. So here's an opportunity for partnership that you don't necessarily recognize as an opportunity for partnership. But you have a grace about you that is going to cause you to maybe be able to salvage it and figure it out in time. So this seems like the Four of Cups situation where something is not going to look as good as what it ends up being. It's partially because some aspect of your emotion is blocked. We've been seeing that come up. Some aspect of your emotion is not being allowed to flow, but you've got somebody here that is saying, hey, we've got potential for partnership. And you, like I said, have the grace to be able to pull out of that skid. So it seems like if you want this partnership, you are not going to react in such a way that destroys the possibility for it. You have the ability to move slowly toward what you want and do it for the right reasons instead of doing, rash things or moving over things more quickly than what you should with less consideration than you should have. Let's see what else. Yeah, we have the Seven of Wands, but I think this other one comes first. Yep, Three of Pentacles. All right, so with the Three of Pentacles, this is things, it's the sense of things working together, cooperation, things going your way. There is something nice going your way in the month of September that you're going to know it when it happens. Something that it's like getting a light you've never gotten before if you're driving through town. there's something that just kind of, you recognize when that energy is with you. You recognize when things are going especially way that your way, but you also recognize when they're not. So there's going to be a tendency with the Ten of Pentacles and the King of Pentacles in reverse here. There's going to be a tendency for you to look at a situation and make some sort of evaluation of it that ends up being less than what it ends up ultimately being. So this is maybe not just one thing, but a little bit more of a pattern. You might not see things for all of their value, and it's something that you want to be watching out for. Look for signs of, hey, this is a day that's going pretty well. And then if you see something that pops out that doesn't particularly impress you, take a closer look. Just make sure that you're understanding so that you can evaluate and do things for the right reasons. But you're going to have opportunities to evaluate your situation, and you're going to be looking at them and saying, I'm not sure what I think about this. I think maybe it's coming up short. Take the time to count your blessings, though, because I think there's some surprises for you in there that will help to make this Four of Cups feeling where something looks like it's disappointing, but it turns out to be far more than it was initially looking like it was. I think it's going to make that a little bit easier if you take the time to actively be grateful in your meditations and your prayers. Actively think about the situation that you're in and what's been positive about it, and the places that, we don't always notice the headache that we don't have. But this is an opportunity for you to do just that and to say, here are the things that I recognize that could be wrong. And luckily, you won't be able to capture all of them. But I mean, to be able to not manifest them or breathe life into them, but to say, I want to recognize that I'm in a place that isn't so difficult in that way, because there are going to be situations, there's going to be things about your situation that you are not especially thrilled about, and that's okay. Recognizing some of where you're lucky is also going to be a very good thing for your perspective. So the Seven of Wands, this is going to help you with that gratitude energy, because this is that feeling of high ground and being able to fight for what you want. Also feeling like you have the energy to fight for what you want. But it's not the energy of rash decisions. This is the energy of, with the Queen of Swords, this is the energy of something where you get to make kind of more of a strategy in the direction that you want, but you're not going to make rash decisions. You're not going to cut things out of your life that you seem like they might not fit. You're going to take the time to, like with this Queen of Wands, actually more carefully evaluate what's happening in front of you. So that's a really healthy Queen of Swords and Queen of Wands. Sometimes when you see those in the reverse, there's a little bit of concern about what they mean, or at least for me, but I'm not getting anything really negative off of either one. Just a sense of consideration. And once again, we have opportunity. So if you've been getting personal readings from me lately, you might have seen this concept of opportunity show up for you. There's been a lot of it showing up in the personal readings, and it seems like I get there and I'm like, well, I have completely different cards. In some cases, it's spelled out opportunity. I mean, it's just, they're kind of all over, it's all over the cards, but it's a very similar and welcome concept. So this Ace of Wands is about that thing that's going to set your soul on fire. For sure, we know that we have, and I was wrong about the touch dogs. It was a therapy dog. We have therapy certification. We have we have people who are reaching into, and that's a reference to another reading, by the way, if it sounded like it just kind of came out of nowhere. But what I'm referring to is the notes that I get from people that say, hey, I found the thing that's going to set my soul on fire. I found something that's really exciting, and this is where I'm spending some of my energy now. Doesn't necessarily mean that everything is perfect in their lives, but it is a place to look at the opportunity that's around you and really use it in a positive way. So, let's look at what you can be doing across the course of September that would be helpful, that would help you make use of this energy, because it's a very constructive, healing, positive sort of energy. Constructive wants to come out again, constructive times two. It's a lot of getting things done that maybe it's been difficult, like when you get the perfect weather for something and it's something that has to be done outside. It's that sort of perfection. So we have the Nine of Wands and the Two of Wands, both of which are in reverse. Now, that Nine of Wands I really like seeing in reverse because it's all about walls that you're no longer protecting that may never really have needed much protection. So this is you relying on some of what you've learned in your lessons over the recent months. And it's a beautiful thing because it really does show the not just having learned the lessons, but being able to use some. Now, there's still something that you need to do, some kind of, it's almost like you're coming to a crossroads and you have a decision that you need to make. And in this case, it's a decision that puts you in two different directions. And not to say that you couldn't potentially down the road end up in the same place, depending on which way you go or regardless of which way you go. But I think that they're very different paths. So sometimes we see one's just a longer path to get to the same place. Sometimes we see they completely diverge at that point and can never meet again. This is one that I think it's not as critical as either of those things. They are definitely diverging, but they also could potentially put you in the same place. I guess I say that to say this. So let's look to see what else. So you have a decision to make. You have new learning with which to do it that you're ready to use. You're going to be looking for some wisdom, but you're actually going to be taking the time to do that. So I think that's going to put you in a very good place. Now, the Four of Wands in the reverse talks about things not necessarily, sometimes it's about instability. In this case, it's about things not really having settled. You're making some changes that things aren't completely settled from. And so that's fine. That's just part of the process. I don't get anything negative from that except for that you might have to watch your schedule a little bit more clearly because you're doing some things for the first time. Let's see. Four of Pentacles fell out in the reverse. The other one was face down. The Four of Pentacles in the reverse is about having the opportunity to let something go. So it's kind of like what we saw with this devil energy up here. You know, you're working through something. I never got anything too serious off of that because it seems like an incredibly graceful energy in general. Just watch out for the advice that's coming that might be easy to miss. Make sure that you're able to set something down if you have any opportunity to kind of sort through and say, here's something that's not my problem. As it pops up, it's not necessarily you stop and you lay everything out. Like, no one has time for that. But what you can do is as things approach you, just kind of say, here's something that I have the opportunity to let go of, like we're seeing here, and I'm going to choose to let go of that because nothing that you're carrying around here in this burden is something that you thought was a great idea despite the fact that you have no control over it. You know, I mean, this is all something that you would have to evaluate it. So as things come up, look for the thing that you have the opportunity to drop. And this judgment, you're going to make some good decisions with regard to what you're going to stop doing. So there are things that you're going to want to maybe start doing, things that you're going to want to maybe stop doing. And then, of course, there are going to be some things that you want to keep doing. So as these decisions kind of pop up, I think it's a series of smaller decisions, really, that you're going to have to evaluate. When we look at this Two of Wands, rather than just one big crossroads, it's more of a series of decisions, which is why I would say you could really end up in the same place depending on which way you go. No, that those are not mutually exclusive decisions, at least not on the front end. So you've got the Knight of Cups in the reverse. There is an opportunity for you to not send a communication. I swear it's coming out that way. That's really interesting. It's a decision, or it's an opportunity to not send a communication. Up here, we see some reference to that where it's, hold on, maybe don't send the communication just yet. You are looking for a way to slow things down after everything, the energy starts to ramp back up. Sometimes not sending a communication immediately is the right thing to do. And so be evaluating that as well. If you're one of those people that responds to notes very quickly, and you may want to recognize that sometimes, oh, hold on, let me see if there's more information that immediately comes in, so that you don't get stuck in the trap of responding to something too quickly and then new information comes in to where you have to change your answer or go back on something. Not the end of the world, just something to keep in mind, and it's going to help you slow things down here. So We have the Queen of Pentacles for you, which is fabulous energy. It feels almost like full-blown Empress energy, but it's really got the self-nurturing piece down. It's like you're making sure that you are getting from your life what you need to. Somewhere in here, you're making decisions. In the month of September, you're making decisions that position you for happiness. Like you're making it so that you're not just happy in the moment, but something that's going to make you happy over time. There's that feeling to it. It's very constructive once again. And you have high manifestation energy. I'm not convinced you are aware of that, but maybe this is a good place to become aware of that. Good manifestation energy. So what you need to do, you have the capacity to do, and it's co-creation with the universe, and it's a beautiful thing. So you have balance that is coming to you during the month of September. It's a hard-won balance, and this is something that you may not quite realize the extent of it until you're, out there in the middle of feeling it. And you might just be there and realize, oh my goodness, this is it. This is what she was talking about. It's a feeling of balance that you maybe don't ordinarily get to experience or don't ordinarily notice because you're busy focusing on other things. So we've got the Eight of Cups. One of the things that I would say is about this, you have been working on finding that happiness. We see here direct references to you making decisions that kind of put you in the path of what you want. This is that quest. So this card is saying you haven't gone on the quest. But if I look more deeply into it, I'm like, what is this if not the quest? I mean, you're digging in to what is it that truly makes me happy and what is the right thing to do for myself. Every single time you make one of these decisions, you make a choice about whether you're going to choose to carry something or you're going to let it go. This is the quest, and it's about being very conscious about those decisions. And so I couldn't be happier for you with that. And I want you to understand that even though this Eight of Cups comes in the reverse, it's not like a nagging Eight of Cups. It's a very, you're not there yet. You're not there yet. I mean, it's kind of, I don't know, what I feel like it points out is this is all activity in getting you where you need to go. This is all about that quest. And just remember, keep in mind this piece from earlier in the reading where we see that there's something happening for you during the course of, probably during the month. It's more of a social or work-oriented type of thing. Has a political element to it, I feel, as well. So we're going to get you an oracle card. I don't do an extended on the general reading, and I just call it as general as possible. So every bit of this could be associated with a soulmate situation, but it could just be a lot more general than that. And what you'll find with the soulmate situations is that a lot of times the advice from those will apply in a more general sense anyway, so it doesn't hurt to look more broadly at your life and say, well, I'm not looking at that in the soulmate situation, but I am looking at it. It's something to think about. So I'll do a soulmate specific reading tomorrow, soulmate specific for the month of September. And then you can kind of just take that and stack it right on top of what we've got here, because this looks at your broader life, but that's of course going to include the soulmate situation. Let's see here. It's two cards. We're going to take the thunderstorm and sacrifice, and they're given a very, well, they tell a story, so I wouldn't say they give the exact same message. It's like the thunderstorm is creating the change. This reminds me of the Tower card in the tarot, just in general. And if you read the book and the meanings behind the cards in this deck, some of them do follow very carefully, or at least are mirrored. But that's not going to be strange, because the tarot is essentially the human condition in 78 cards, or so, depending on the deck. So we've got the thunderstorm card, which is saying there is significant change here, but you see he's leaning into it. He's really kind of open to this change. And the sacrifice of it's like the ego. We saw that with the moon energy, the ego falling away. With the sacrifice of that ego comes the most amazing warmth after the storm. And so it's almost like these cards come out to complement one. Well, it's definitely like these cards come out to complement one another, but I wanted to present them that way as well. So that's where I'm going to leave it for the September general reading. This is very positive outlook. But I would say let's jump into that soulmate reading tomorrow. Let's get a little bit more specific into that for those who are wanting to go that direction. And I will absolutely look forward to it because, like I said, we get to layer that right on top of this incredibly constructive coming into yourself sort of message. So looking forward to seeing you tomorrow.